particularly with light. Yeah,
they've got more and more sensitive sensors, and so you can just take photos in unbelievably dark conditions now. Whereas before, you'd have to have
lighting.
Your exposure time would need to be like a couple of minutes to get that. Whereas now you can just go click and you've got it, and it's amazing. Yeah. There's other things coming through. You've got the mirrorless, hard word to say. Yeah. Cameras are coming through now, and you've got the lenses are beginning to change. But apparently not lenses, but that's rubbish. They're just different types of lenses. There's all kinds of different things coming through. I think fundamentally they're still going to be the same technology.
Right.
There's going to be tweaks and there'll be big changes in the software, and there'll be big changes in how the buttons work. Yep. But it's one of those things you'll look back on and go, did I really say that? But I don't think the technology will change a huge amount from where it is now, at least at the top end. I think at the bottom end, where you've just got your consumer camera, your little point and click that your mum takes an oldie, those are going to get better and better and better really quickly. Whereas the top end ones are fantastic already, and they're going to just carry on getting more fantastic with little tweaks rather than...
See this GoPro here? What amazes me about this thing, and I've been saying it ever since I bought it, but because I don't take a lot of photos apart from my iPhone anymore. I just don't, But this thing, everything is in focus. I cannot work it out. Like, if you put it on a really big screen, everything's in focus all the time. I did not know how they do that. But I guess... if you look at your own eyeballs right now, like you're in focus, I'm looking at you, but everything else isn't. Yeah. So obviously we're trying to copy some sort of technology, but this thing, do you know much about GoPros? Like, how could that be? Like, what? I don't understand. And don't even describe it. I won't understand anyway.
I could try and explain, but A, I'd probably be wrong, B, it'd be really boring.
But maybe not.
But the thing about the GoPro is, or not... particularly GoPro, but cameras like that, they've got everything in focus, but in fact they can't focus on just one thing.
Right.
Whereas your professional level camera, or rather your professional level lens, you can blur out the background, or you can have a crisp background depending on what you want. Right. Whereas that you're kind of stuck with one thing, and that's the thing it does. It does it fantastically well, but that's not what I want. If I'm taking a portrait, that's not what I want.
Okay.
So it's a bit swings and roundabouts.
So the modern camera can give you all this. Like, in a way, you just put on another lens and you'll probably get the GoPro thing if that's what you...
Yeah.
Yeah, plus you can... Yeah, okay, you're explaining it to me now. I really sort of get it. We make TV commercials all the time. And we did a full day of shooting last week. And Ralph Marshall has filmed every commercial for us in, 18 years. And so I've watched this guy from Channel 9 buy all sorts of cameras over the years, and they've always been about $80,000, $50,000 to $80,000, and he has the greatest stuff, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, we did set up a lot of lighting in the old days. So he was the one that told me a year ago, no, we don't. I said, isn't that too dark? No, these cameras are great now. They can do all these sorts of things. But recently, they've been using GoPros.
Yeah.
And adjusting, there's software even to adjust the fisheye. You can sort of neutralize that and then really crop it in close. And it's crazy, man, because this thing, out of the case, look at it, the smallest little camera. And when was the first camera invented? 18...
I was way before that, I think. Was it the first...
Yeah, right. Okay. But in no time.
Define camera. From a pinhole camera through to one with film through to... But they've jumped up so quickly in the last few years. The GoPros are amazing. Even the GoPros have gone from being fairly chunky to tiny in the space of 5 years.
Yeah, and now they're as big as just this.
Yeah, they're tiny little things.
Too small.
Yeah, you could argue that. And but the like kind of stuff that I use in the studio is still a chunky bit of equipment, mostly because of the lens. The camera itself is still fairly chunky, but it's manageable. Right. But the lens is still you're still going to need a focal length of this, or if you want to do telephoto stuff, you'll always need that. Yeah. You can digitally zoom, but it's not the same.
Right. Okay.
That's one of those things that can make you look really old, I suspect, in only 2 years' time.
I feel like now's a good time to talk about how we met.
Okay? Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've both been busy ever since there, I'm sure. Like it was kind of a chance meeting. Okay, I think. but I really hope we see it through.
Yeah.
Like I think every person I've spoken to about it, I end up saying the same thing. Like, someone approached me, this quirky sort of dude from London approached me. He has a dream sort of thing of photographing people from all sorts of subcultures, but he's trying to find that one important thing they do.
Yeah.
Or that one overlooked important thing they do. But in effect, everyone, I'll say this one again, which I find, I hope you get a shot of this. When there's a lady who's in the pony club, okay, and she's horse riding. To everyone else, it's her and the horse and the thing they stick in their mouth and the saddle. Okay, so you may get, in the industry, they may get loads of photos of a girl with her arm around the horse, the horse and the girl. And there may be great shots of the saddle, these Western saddles and blah, 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 blah. What I think you're trying to do is get that shot of that crazy shot where the girl is pulling up the girth strap. She's tightening up that strap. That's something fundamental to the riding of that horse, is to get that strap right where you're not pinching the horse, but it's a sexy moment where she's like, "Argh!" And
but the bit that I'm interested in is, what does the rider call that? I'm sure there's a word for it. I'd need to ask a horse rider. There's a word for that movement that you do that I don't know, and almost all of the population doesn't know.
Yeah.
And every subculture has got a little language that you don't understand. And it's fascinating to hear what the words are, or the little bits of equipment you think, oh, what's that for? I don't understand. And it's amazing little subcultures. And by subculture, I don't necessarily mean kind of goth or metalheads or whatever. It could be kind of postmen, the gorilla knitters, as we talked about. Any group of people that talks about their own thing for a little while develops a language. As I said to you last time, I stood up on Mount Tamborine listening to a bunch of hang gliders, that's the word, thank you, of hang gliders talking about their takeoff zone and their landing zone and what the wind was doing at each one. And I didn't understand a word of it. It was great. I just stood there, just eavesdropping, and there were so many words in it that I didn't understand. Yeah. And I was like, wow, a whole set of language. I don't know not sure how you take a photo of the wind, but I'll get around to that. And it wasn't the moment to ask.
But they all have their level of importance, and in their own little industry of subculture, the idea of that, let's pretend it's stepping off, that one step where you fly into the air, where it's all down to your equipment now, your preparation. That no doubt that has a word, and what a shot that would be.
There's a word for that. Just as the foot leaves the ground, I'm sure there's a
the
word.
Spring off, maybe.
I have no idea. And but from a photography point of view, I don't want a picture of the hang glider. I want a picture of his foot. Yeah. What's that doing, and what's the word you'd call it? And it will speak to everyone else in the hang glider. I know exactly what you're trying to do. I love this idea, man. Yeah. I really do. And because, we're all... And I bounce one back to you. Photography. Yeah. There's something that you guys do, like these words like aperture and like, who knows where did that word even come from? Like, you guys gloss over certain words, no doubt, like everyone else. The spring off. Well, maybe it actually came from the Norwegian guy that invented this thing, and and there's so many words that each group uses without even realising it's a novel word for everyone else. Right. And so if I'm talking to other kind of less experienced photographers, and I'm talking this and I'm talking that, they look at me blankly. I was like, okay, that needs explaining. Right. And whatever it is, whether if you're my partner, she does the silks and does lira, with the hoops, and she talks about words and stuff that what, I have no idea what you mean. Explain it to me. And in reverse, I talk to her about surfing, and I talk about a particular type of fat wave or this, that, and the other, or beach dump, and she's looking at me and going, what? Yeah. And it's not even things which kind of on the Gold Coast you wouldn't think surfing words are remotely strange, but but unless you know them, certainly if you were to go to London and use any of those words, simply wouldn't know what they meant. And within every subculture, they've got these words. They've got or little tricks, little things that happen that you don't know about, and it's absolutely fascinating to just hear about.
I think it's artistically, without sounding like a wanker, the fact that you're trying to find that is a really is kind of sort of what I do in this podcast show. Is like, you know, trying to get all kinds of people and see what really you know, there's nothing more fun.
Yeah.
Then finding out what you actually do that. You actually knit around trees in Tugun. Wow.
Yeah.
Like, how did you do? Tell me more.
Yeah,
you know?
what's your preparation? What knitting needles do you use? What type of wool is it? All these things which I've no idea.
But in their world, it's everything.
But in a way, it's a lot better that it's a long talk like this rather than me asking a question. Tell me a thing that's interesting. Isn't going to get very far,
right?
Because they probably don't even know what's an interesting thing because they use it every day, and I don't know what questions to ask.
Yeah,
because
it's often the one that when they're not on camera.
Yeah.
They're talking to their mate. Oh, we did that step off, and then you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But he was asking me about the thing. I knew he'd ask me that. You know.
And that's the fascinating thing. And then you need to think of the sometimes it'd be obvious, and of the photograph that illustrates the point. It might be a photo of someone doing something. It might be a photo of a piece of equipment. It might be a description of the word and a photo of what that is.
Right.
It could be so many different things, but it all comes down to this kind of details of subculture.
Yep. Love it. Love it. Okay, well, last week we did a TV commercial and it had a boxer in it. And I've done a little bit of boxing and your thought popped into my mind and we were trying to get him to speak to camera and he was just standing there saying his thing and I went, I know. Dave, go get your glove, go get your wraps. You know when a boxer wraps his hands, it's a really personal thing. And any other boxer in the whole world knows exactly what's going on. This is a really personal and everyone wraps their hands differently and it means so much. You're about to go to war, you know, and it's, you know, it's the one thing.
Yeah.
Well, sure enough, it worked a treat. He had his hands, I said, no, don't look at me. Look at what you do and tell me about this thing. And we got the best. Oh, it was good.
That's it.
Everyone was like hinging on this guy's every word because he was. He went from being, oh, I'm so scared talking to these people on a camera to in the zone, looking at the things he does every day. Oh, it was so good, mate.
He's back in his own world and he's doing his thing, and that's the thing he knows about. He's concentrating on. He's loving it, and that if I was looking at it, I wouldn't understand why. I realise it happens. I kind of know
but
why.
Is it a safety thing? Is it, you know, you're actually questioning, I don't know what they do. Is it a safe thing or is it regulations? No, it's the thing.
But the details of it and how you describe it and how you and what it means, kind of both to kind of the boxing world and to him personally.
All right, if it was surfing, okay, because I surf too. What to me, there's a lot of personality in the way you wax your board, but it may not be the shot. There's, you know what I mean? When you're in okay, I'm here, I'm pulling it out of the bag. You know, there's your board, and I only wax up every sort of.
You can tell.
What would it be though?
You can tell a lot like by the wax. You can tell, or at least make assumptions about someone by how they do it, and kind of. And you think, and you could look at my board and go, oh dear.
Yeah, me too.
Look.
You know what I've got? I'll show you on the way out. Someone made, it's called Mother's Milk surf wax. It's just a boob with a nipple.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
All right.
Had to happen.
Right, yeah. And there's a blue one for winter. Winter wax has got a blue nipple.
Ouch, yeah. Oh, you guys don't know about surfing in winter. You think you do, but you don't.
No, we don't.
And until you've...
I don't even own a wetsuit. I go every day.
Until you've surfed in 7-degree water in 1 degree air temperature while it's snowing, you don't know about surfing in winter. I did that a few times down in Cornwall in the UK.
I'll show you a photo soon. I had Martin Rawlinson in the chair you're in recently, and he's from Cornwall. There's a photo of him with a bonnet, gloves, boots, and he described to me is it 5 mil?
5 mil, yep.
Just, I can't even...
It's funny, if you look at a photograph of yourself wearing one, you look really fat, because just a little bit of the 5 mil around your whole body just makes you look so much bigger.
And you sink a little. And it takes so much water that you actually get lower in the water, so when you're paddling, you're slow. And
oh, God, if you've got gloves full of water God, it
What?
quadruples the